Hey guys, Vaccinato here from Ocean Swift Synthesis, and I'm happy and proud to show you our device for the Sonicor Scope Fusion platform, the Didgeridreamer. Like the name implies, the original idea, anyways, was to kind of bring the Aboriginal Australian Didge drone device into the Scope platform. But the idea kind of evolved. It's not exactly a Didge. It's a little bit different. It's a synthesis device that is kind of based on that idea. But we did take a lot of things from the real Didge itself. I'll get straight into showing you around. While we look at it, I'll also let you listen to some of the stuff, and in the end I'll also browse through some of the presets that we came up with, and you can listen to some of the potential for sounds that are drone Didge sounds and out of the box sort of stuff as well. That is not so typical. So the first thing that you see here, maybe you saw as I started the video, you have a drone on and off button. You don't have to use MIDI at all. I do have MIDI connected here. If I want to, I can play the device with MIDI, but it will only play the note that is set up over here in the root note. This is like a real Didge device if you think about it. Each real didgeridoo is that the root note is based on the length of the pipe. So same with our device, you set up one root note that you choose, be it any one that you want, from B2, from C1 to B2. So you basically have across pretty much 2 octaves. And you can set, let's say, the bass note. So let's say now we have A sharp 1. And then you can either just click the drone knob. Let's say you're playing live and you don't need MIDI and you want to set your kind of drone background, and now you want to play, I don't know, guitars or sing or whatever. Then you can just turn it on or off. Or you can use MIDI, and it doesn't matter which note that you play. You can route any note that you will play, will turn it off or on, and this has the advantage, obviously, of giving you control with the keyboard of turning it on or off, and also the advantage of, if you're using a sequencer, you can start the device playing exactly at like a 1 beat, and then set the BPM, and so the delay and everything internal to the device, all the LFOs can sync to your BPM and to your track. So you have the option of using it as a pure drone or with MIDI to kind of control it a little bit more. So what do we have here actually? Let's look at the synthesis core first of all. Let's call it like the oscillator section, even though it's not like your standard oscillator section. What you do choose on the root area is, like I showed you before, the tune, the root note, and then you choose, you have a choice of waveform between a saw and a square, and the choice is, it's a crossfade choice. It's not a one or the either, but a crossfade between them. So and on the square shape you also have pulse width modulation. It can be a pulse, not just a square. If you turn it on, the speed is internally controlled. It's something that we came up with, a speed we came up with that kind of gives off the vibe that we wanted from the oscillator. And then you can mix it in with the saw and get a pretty big sound. Now you notice here there is a mix section between the root and the interval. The root is as I've shown you right here. Now you're hearing just the root. The interval is basically on a real Didge. You have the root note that is, like I said, based on the length of the didgeridoo itself, but also the player, he can kind of bring about a overtone using methods. The way he's playing the didgeridoo, he can bring about an overtone that is usually either a perfect fifth or a major 10th above the fundamental note. This is what we decided to give anyway as the choices for the interval, and you can use the switch to choose them. And the interval itself, like this is the full, there's no filtering in the oscillator section for the root note, but there's filtering for the interval, which is a bandpass filter. So let's just hear just the interval. It can be narrow, and you can decide how narrow and what emphasis it will have. And you can use resonance if you want to give it a little bit of an artificial, but nice quality to it, and then mix it with the original sound. So it can go from something like this to something like this. It just adds a little bit of that overtone to the sound of the machine. Of course, if you're working with a track that does not use that perfect fifth, does not use that major 10th note, if it sounds out of tune, then you can just use the root note without using the interval section. It's just an extra option to give an extra overtone. A lot of times in drone music, especially in Indian music, they use a lot of perfect fifths. So if you have our other device, you can look at our other videos where you have the Shruti box, and oftentimes on a Shruti box you will set a perfect fifth, like a CGC on a Shruti box. And then it would be really nice to set the Didgeridreamer to a C, for example, and have the perfect fifth as the interval and play it along with the Shruti box for a really nice effect. You know, you can make really cool ambient by doing such tricks, just bringing about drones that are kind of harmonic to each other. Continuing the synthesis chain, once you have kind of this OSC section, once you have decided on the basic thing coming out, you're going into the valve filter, which is this is what makes the whole that vocal track sound. And it's doing that by, it's basically a filter that has 5 peaks to it. And you can set the way these peaks behave over here, and it's actually called vowels over here. And as you move it along, you see different vowel shapes for each position, and those will correspond to the way the filters will kind of shape the sound as the filter is swept. So it's a crossfade actually between these different peaks. So this sets where the cross starts. It's kind of like a bipolar modulation. And this sets the amount of modulation. And this is the modulator itself, the CF mod LFO. And for the basic frequency of the filter, you have a fric knob. You just call it cutoff knob, it's the same. And a fric mod LFO, here is the modulator and here is the amount knob. So overall the filter will sound, you know, let's drone it and I'll play around a little bit. Let's give it some more volume. So this will be the frequency settings. The cross, this will most be affected once you move this one. You can do really cool stuff. Doesn't have to, like I said in the beginning, I told you it was kind of a didgeridoo inspired device because as you see here, I quickly got into a sound that is no longer doesn't really sound like a didgeridoo, but it has some of the qualities of the didgeridoo while in the end, you know, producing something a little bit different. Okay, so moving forward after, you know, the valve filter, basically what sets the basic sound is, you know, the root with the interval and this valve filter with its modulators. After that, we have some things to kind of shape and make the sound a little bit nicer and give you some more options. Starting with the filters, ignore first these two. Let's look at just this one. This one turns on, the damp button turns on a low pass filter that is tuned to somewhere around 1500 hertz, which on a real didgeridoo, it's kind of pretty much a little bit of a cutoff point on a real didgeridoo as well. So we kind of provide that, but this is a really, really mellow damp. And you have, in addition, unrelated to this damp, whether this one is on or off, you have high pass and low pass filters as well. So you can really kind of get a shape for the sound. So this would be... One thing I see that I forgot to mention is that when we talked here about the mix section, I didn't talk about the HP track. This is another high-pass filter, but it is right after the root and the interval are mixed. Sometimes, you might get a little bit of the sound might get a little bit dirty on the extreme low end. We kind of use this HP track trick on some of our other devices. What it does is it tracks the root frequency, and it high passes everything that is just from a little bit below the root frequency and below, and it kind of high passes it and cleans a little bit the low end. This is basically what it does, and sometimes it provides like a more stable and cleaner sound in the end. It does take off a little bit from the lows, and you get a crispier, narrower but crispier sound. So sometimes you might want a HP track, sometimes we kind of give you options, and the filters are at different places in the synthesis chain. So you have the HP track, you have the damp, and you have the high pass and the low pass. And of course the band pass for the interval. The remaining things are kind of if you look here, you have a tremolo, which kind of can mimic, a little bit the way a little bit of the volume modulation of a real player a little bit. Or you can do more extreme stuff, like for example, you can set it, and if you turn off the drone mode, then you have everything, sync is on and retrigger is on, and I'll set it, then every time I press a MIDI note, then it'll be in sync with my BPM. Then you have delay and chorus. The delay can also be synced to the BPM. Again, I don't remember if I mentioned it, but the overall BPM is set over here. So here you set the same BPM as your track and your DAW, whatever you're using, and then everything can be just automatically synced to that. On the main output section, you don't have just gain. We have a distortion that is just a basic distortion, a one knob distortion, but we also have a drive section. So these are two different distortion sections. Let's go over it again. So just overall, let's take off everything and just have, this is without any of the distortions at all. Just your basic sound. This is a one knob distortion. It's pretty mild. It's not a heavy distortion. It's just kind of, squares it out a little bit, gives it a little bit of a grungier sound. And then you have the tube drive, which is a kind of a nice circuit. Basically, it's a comb filter with a drive section, but you don't see the cutoff knob of the drive because the cutoff point of the comb is based on the root note that you set here. So it kind of all works together. It's like in a harmonic relation to the root note. Everything works together. And when you drive it, it's actually a pretty nice distortion. Depending, obviously, on what you do with it and what the settings are on the... I didn't really like this particular sound, but let's go over the presets. And maybe we can find some interesting stuff. And you can see how this machine can go from the basic didgeridoo sound, which was the basic idea, into really kind of unexplored areas like, alien drones and various effects and really cool stuff. So I'll turn on the drone and I'll just browse the presets a little bit. Now, I don't know how loud what's going on with the distortions, and I don't want to clip this video. Now, obviously, some of these presets are meant to be synced to your BPM, so just for the... And here you go to the more traditional sort of sort of didgeridoo sounds. Obviously, this is just the device itself. You can add reverb, other effects to your liking, cut it up. And this is a good example to show that you can do really cool rhythmic stuff as well. Up. I like this kind of stuff. This is what I'm looking for personally, but you can see that you can do all sorts of things. So this is our Didgeridreamer device. We think it's a little unique, it's a little niche, but I think it's very creative. If you try it out, maybe you'll get, different stuff than what you normally do. You have to approach it in a little bit of a different way, and the results could be very interesting. Looking forward to hearing music that you guys make with this thing. So check it out. You can go to our website. Depending on when you're watching this video, it could already be out or it could be released in the near future. www.oceanswift.net. Check out this device and all our other ideas. Thanks for watching this video. See you.